Hey guys, I'm Matt Hernandez. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to show you how to light something boring and flat, and then turn around and light it to make it look three-dimensional and awesome. Okay, so we're in my studio, and I've got this awesome sculpture that a guy by the name of Dustin Good made. He welded it. It's an eagle, and it took him over like 200 hours to make. So he's extremely proud of it, so he hired me to photograph it. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to show everybody the two different ways you could light something. A lot of people might just take this natural light, these pictures natural light outside, which, you know, that would probably be okay, I guess. If it was a sunny day, you'd probably get some cool reflections. This bird is really metallic, so it's got a really smooth, reflective finish on it, and it's gonna behave really well with light, I believe. So the surface of it will. So that's why I chose to do it in the studio on a solid background. That way I can make the background any color I want to. But to start off, I'm gonna show you, not natural light, but with one light, what it would look like. And then don't pay attention to the other lights right now, because I'm gonna add those in just to show you how you can carve it out and make it look more 3D as we go and make it look a lot cooler. So you'll see one light will look pretty good just because the sculpture is awesome in itself. But why stop there when we can always make it better? So then we're gonna add these top lights and then the bottom lights, and then you'll see the finished product with all of the lights incorporated, and it's gonna look really awesome. So I've got my Sony A1 and I've got my 7200, and I'm gonna be shooting at f8 just to make sure that most of it's in focus. I'm gonna have to scoot quite a ways back. I don't know how wide that is. It's probably about 3 feet, I'd say. So I'm gonna have to scoot a good distance back. So we're gonna start out with one light source, an FJ400 on a boom stand here, and I've got an Octa L, a large Octa on it. I think it's 36 inches. I've got both layers of diffusion in it. So we need something relatively wide just to make sure that we get a good spread. The light hits the whole bird. And so I'm gonna scoot back and take one picture just with that one light on. Like I said, don't pay attention to the other lights right now, and we're gonna see what that looks like. Okay, so that looks pretty good just because, like I said, the sculpture's awesome. It's gonna look good no matter what we do. But because it is so metallic and reflective, I think that edge light would probably serve it better. Directional light that can really carve it out from the background and make it pop and make it look three-dimensional. So we've got two more boom stands, one on each side, and we've got a 1x4 strip box on two more FJ400s that are aimed straight down. And I tried to use one, and it wasn't quite long enough, and it was kind of hard on that boom stand. It was making it bend a little bit too much, so I added another one in and got them even. So they both end right in the middle, right over its head, and extend out past its wing. So I'm gonna turn the Octa off for now, and then just turn the strip boxes on so you can see what that looks like. I always tell people at my workshops, light from the background up. So I start with my background, then go to any kind of edge lights or accent lights, and then the key light would be last. So we're gonna turn this off and just use the edge lights that are up top right now. Okay, so the lights underneath are actually, those are 3x4 soft boxes that I have turned upside down to light it from underneath, and that's gonna be the next step. They're actually reflecting the light from those strip boxes, so I'm gonna go move those real quick because that's actually kind of contaminating the picture. It's reflecting back up and lighting the bottom, even though the lights are asleep, but because they have a white diffusion on them, the lights on top are reflecting off that. So I'm gonna go move those real quick. So now that we have those out of the way, nothing's gonna contaminate the bottom of the sculpture, so it's just gonna be lit from the top. So you can see by looking at that there's definitely more light on top. Obviously that's where the light's coming from, that's where the light sources are, as compared to the Octa where it's straight from the front. So it looks a little bit more, it's starting to get a little bit more shape because we are essentially edge lighting it, even though they're not behind the sculpture, which I would normally call like 45 degrees behind something in edge light. This is close though, so you can see there's a lot more light on top. There's a little bit probably underneath just from the floor in my studio reflecting up, but it's already starting to get a little bit of shape. So now what we can do is, but you see the bottom of it is still relatively dark, and we really want everybody to see all the detail and the craftsmanship in this sculpture. So we've got to get some light from underneath. So that's why I've got these big soft boxes. These are 3x4 Westcott Rapid Box soft boxes, and we're going to put them directly underneath. And the reason that I have such big ones is because I want to light the entire bottom. If I used one, I could pull it out front and have it beneath, but it's going to be a little bit too much in front. It's going to light it too much from the front, and more of a flat light similar to the Octa. It won't be quite as flat because it's a little bit more directional, but I think directly underneath or maybe even slightly back will really give us a lot more shape, which is what we want, because that's what's going to make something like this look really cool because of all the angles and all the detail. We really want to accentuate those. So nothing too complicated here. Light stands actually wouldn't help in this situation because the lights need to be on the ground because those soft boxes are so big. So I just have them sitting on the back of the light. They're both FJ400s, just on the back of the battery, and it's flat so they'll point straight up. I also didn't go over the power for all of my lights. The Octa, which we started out with by itself, was at a power of 9. So I was at F8, 1/25 of a second, ISO 100. So that was at 9. When I put that to sleep and turned the strip boxes on, those were both at 9. And then now we're going to turn the soft boxes on underneath, and those aren't going to be quite as powerful because the light source is so big. There's going to be more light coming out, and it might actually be a little bit distracting because the angle of the wings are going to allow a lot of light to come up in there. And I feel like that if we have them too high, it's going to be too bright and too white, which will be distracting. You want everything to be, you don't want it to be lit evenly, but you don't want the bottom of the wings to stand out. If anything stands out, you want it to be its head or the top of the wings. So we're going to start out, we're going to put those on a power of 4 just to see how that does. And it may or may not work, but we'll try it and see. Okay, so that worked out really great. So we're getting a lot of dimension. You can see that the light is only hitting parts of the bird now. It's hitting the top because of the top lights, and then underneath, but because we don't have them pulled out, we've got them back further, it's not lighting all the way underneath. It's not flat lighting it at all. And because the wings are angled also, that's helping the whole edge light idea. I'm gonna turn the Octa back on, and I'm gonna turn it down and see if that helps at all. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to turn the power of the lights on the ground up just so you can see what that would look like. I have a feeling it's gonna be too distracting and too bright, but we'll find out. So I'm gonna go to a power of 8 and see what it looks like. Yeah, way, way too bright. So you can see when I dialed it back down to 4, that looked much better. A lot more even. The brightest part of the bird, anytime you look at a picture, the brightest part of it's going to be what you look at first. It's what your eye's going to be drawn to. So you don't want underneath the wings to be the brightest. You want the top of its head, top of its wings, near its head to be the brightest, which is what we're doing here. So now let's turn that Octa back on. And I'm going to go down on power on that too. So I'm at 9 out of 9 on the 2 lights with the strips on top. I'm at 4 on the 2 soft boxes below. On the Octa box, we'll go to 7.5. There we go. So now that's really just acting as a fill, just to kind of fill in any dark shadows, because underneath, next to the body, it is getting a little bit dark. So filling that in, wouldn't be the worst thing. The biggest thing is I want to have detail everywhere, even if it's just a little bit. But again, we're edge lighting it for a purpose to carve it out from the background and make it look 3-dimensional and really give it shape, which is what all these lights are doing. Okay, so that about does it. That shows you what something looks like with one light straight in front, where it's flat lit, kind of boring, and then adding edge lights in above and below to really carve it out and make it look 3-dimensional and give it shape. And this can be done with a sculpture like this. It can be done with a person. It can be really done with anything that you want to give more shape to. Now, it's not appropriate in every single situation, but there are a lot where this can look really cool. You see this a lot with sports. A lot of my sports pictures, I edge light people all the time with like a 3-light setup, maybe 4-light setup with a light on the background, 2 edge lights and a main light. Same kind of principle here. We're just using it with a sculpture. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button or share. And then if you want to subscribe, there's going to be a lot more content like this to come. Thanks for watching.